Missouri Press Association's first inductee of the Newspaper Hall of Fame's 2025 class is Dennis Ellsworth, a longtime newspaperman dedicated to journalism and recognized as a leader in the industry.
I nominated Dennis to the Missouri Press Hall of Fame because of the huge impact that he has made on our industry and on me personally as a young publisher.
A native of eastern Kansas, Ellsworth earned his journalism degree from the University of Kansas, followed by early work experiences with newspapers in Parsons, Osawatomie, and Lawrence, as well as the Associated Press in Topeka. Ellsworth then spent more than 2 decades working as an editor and assistant editor, first at the Tallahassee, Florida Democrat, then for 8 years at the Wichita Eagle-Beacon, and 11 years at the San Angelo, Texas Standard Times. Early in his career, he was a Knight Ridder Fellow in the Visiting Journalists program at Duke University. He joined the St. Joseph News Press as executive editor in 2000, a role that put him in charge of 45 employees.
He was our go-to guy. He quickly became a trusted mentor to both me and to our editor at the time, Brian McCauley. He was a voice of reason for both Brian and I, and a very trusted resource.
As executive editor of the News Press, Ellsworth was also instrumental in the company's evolution into a converged media operation, integrating television stations with the newspaper in 2012.
It was new. Digital, we were not thinking about digital at the time. We were putting out newspapers, and this was something that was unavoidable. And Dennis led that charge. It was a major step for our industry, and it was a big deal at the time.
Before his retirement in 2018, Ellsworth took opportunities to share his knowledge with others in the industry, from mentoring young journalists and sharing his knowledge and passion for journalism to helping lead the Missouri Press Association as a director for 4 years, the Missouri Associated Press Managing Editors, and twice president of the Northwest Missouri Press Association.
What's always inspired me about Dennis is his commitment not only to community, but to local journalism. He started in rural Kansas and never lost sight of what local news means to our communities.
Even after retiring, Ellsworth remained committed to public service, volunteering as the first executive director of the Missouri Sunshine Coalition.
The role really illustrates his passion for open government and transparency.
His 5 years in the role allowed him to promote government transparency and freedom of information in every part of Missouri. A true believer in local reporting, Ellsworth continues to advocate for the power of the newspaper to inform and entertain.
I think his passion for local news, his dedication to community news, that paired with the work that he's done in our industry, he's devoted his whole life to that. And I think that's what sets him apart from others who just do their job. And with Dennis, it's a passion.
Our second inductee is Barbara Ann Horton, a newspaper industry veteran with more than 54 years' experience in a variety of roles, from reporter to lifestyles editor to more than 20 years as news editor at the Daily American Republic in Poplar Bluff. Now a staff writer at the Daily American, she has become a fount of community knowledge and a touch point connecting the traditions of the local newspaper with new methods of reporting that reflect the changing habits of her readers.
When I walked in the back door on my first day, they were still melting lead and using linotype machines to make the type. They were getting ready to transition to offset, I believe. And I was in the process of doing that. And now I've come to where we do everything digitally.
Known for her work ethic, dedication to objective journalism, and adaptability in a changing media landscape, Horton is seen by readers and colleagues as insightful, kind, and honorable.
Barb has been a joy to work with throughout these years. She is always in a great mood, always willing to help and do whatever is necessary to get the newspaper out. Just like myself, I think we're both old school. She stays until the work is done, and it doesn't matter if it's 9 o'clock in the morning or midnight, she's always there to help.
Her influence has been felt beyond Poplar Bluff, as she has helped to lead nearby sister publications, the Prospect News in Doniphan and the Puxico News. Southeast Missouri and the newspaper industry have further benefited from Horton's lengthy career by her mentoring and inspiring of up-and-coming journalists.
I don't try to tell them they have to do my way. But hopefully they'll learn from me. And I've learned through the years. I've continued to learn.
Beyond professional praise, Horton has demonstrated a selfless commitment to her community by serving as a councilwoman for a historically underserved ward in Poplar Bluff. Her other volunteer efforts within the community include serving on the board of a local domestic violence shelter and another group that focuses on improving the lives of children in the region and strengthening medical services in rural areas.
At times my family just thought my job was more important than them, and that's not true. They are always first whether I'm there or not. But I also see the people who live in my community is the second flavor of my family. And I try to be there for them too.
At an age where other journalists might be slowing down or limiting their reporting to a single medium, Horton continues to be at the forefront of coverage in her community, all while participating in the newspaper's expanding digital presence and on social media.
I've seen Barb Horton through the decades just continue to support and cover our community. And it's a nice honor to recognize that longevity and that commitment to our trade and our commitment to Poplar Bluff and Butler County. We're so proud of what she does every day, that this honor for her, I'm happy to have been a small part to help nominate her because she is well-deserving.
Already this year, her work has included covering breaking fire stories, helping the community respond to a March tornado that caused severe damage, and then joining the newsroom for a marathon reporting session in the aftermath of that tornado.
I'm so happy for Barb to be named to the Missouri Hall of Fame. It's greatly deserved, and congratulations, Barb.
The next inductee to join the Missouri Newspaper Hall of Fame is Jerrilynn Voss, who was the face of reporting in mid-Missouri's Osage County for 5 decades. First with the Osage County Observer from 1970 to 1980, and then, beginning in 1980, as co-owner with husband Ralph of the Unterrified Democrat in Linn. As owner of the newspaper, Voss approached writing stories with the understanding that she was a representative of the citizens who lived in her coverage area. She was known by the public and officials as a tough reporter who was equipped with loads of knowledge about the workings of local government, making her unafraid to ask questions about the questionable.
She is the epitome of old school journalism. And one of the things that I've learned, she went through a couple campaigns with me doing interviews. Her integrity is beyond reproach. And her digging into stories is the old school that I refer to. So many today that they will take the bylines of whatever is put out, and then that's the news, versus where Jerry, if she felt that there was something that needed to be dug into, she would do it and did it with velocity. And so I have nothing but the extreme respect for her.
Embodying the heart and soul of local journalism, Voss made sure the Unterrified Democrat's reporting reflected the values of truth and fairness, while showing the newspaper's unwavering dedication to the public good. Forthright in her opinions, she advocated for things she believed would benefit Osage County economically, socially, and civically.
I'd like to thank you for letting me be part of this special day with Jerry. She's a great journalist, but also a great friend and a friend to our community.
Voss's influence in the community was more than just the newspaper's reporting, as she built relationships throughout the community, connecting with readers and fostering an informed, engaged citizenry. She worked tirelessly to ensure readers had an accurate understanding of the issues facing the community, always seeking transparency and open dialogue with leaders and policymakers.
And she always made sure it was stayed local. She was very involved in our community. And I still today go to places around the state commissioners meeting, and always somebody will always ask me, how about that UD in that newspaper? And she's a legend itself, and we appreciate that. She put Linn on the map for sure with the UD.
But as any owner of a newspaper can attest, they never have just one job. So Voss also sold advertising, ran the front desk, answered customers' questions, kept the books, and helped clients who came in to make payments.
She was much more than a writer for that newspaper. Jerry was the backbone of the Unterrified Democrat. She was the advertising salesperson in addition to being a writer. She made that newspaper profitable.
In 2018, the Unterrified Democrat was sold by Jerry and Ralph Voss to Warden Publishing. Her dedication to the newspaper continued for another 2 years as she stayed on to help the new owners get acclimated to the community.
Jerry was with me on a daily basis, and she imparted the importance of having something from each community that the Osage paper, the Unterrified Democrat, covered, so that everybody in the county would have a reason to pick up the UD. So thanks a lot, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Our final inductee for this year's Newspaper Hall of Fame class is the late Kevin Jones, who was known by many in the newspaper industry, both in Missouri and throughout the U.S. A graduate of the Missouri School of Journalism, he had the know-how to fill any newspaper role, but he remained devoted to his career in advertising sales and relished helping to produce a newspaper that was widely considered one of the best in the country.
Kevin would find new creative ideas, things that would bring the community together, not necessarily newspaper ideas, but they were ideas where you could flow into the newspaper. Their events is a great one. Newspapers in education, they tried to get sponsors that were maybe scientists, and they'd go to somewhere to help with STEM with schools. They did all kinds of great things that were not necessarily normal newspaper activity. Community was what Kevin was about. We always talked about it wasn't the newspaper itself, the medium that it was that we use now. It was getting the message out, and however that worked, we had to find a way to reach the people to make the community better.
For more than 30 years, Jones worked for the St. Louis American, which covers the region's African American community. During his career, the newspaper was repeatedly recognized for its work at the state and national levels, and Jones's voice was one of the loudest to sing the praises of his colleagues. Whether it was a Gold Cup win from the Missouri Press Foundation Better Newspaper Contest or Best Weekly Newspaper in North America from Suburban Newspapers of America, Jones supported the people who make the newspaper possible, advocating for others to receive the accolades he knew they were deserving of, and which helped the St. Louis American succeed financially and editorially.
He found new revenue opportunities all the time. He would try something and say this really worked or this didn't, and then he would pass it on at meetings to other people.
But Jones's championing of others wasn't limited to just the American. as he embraced opportunities to share his experience within the newspaper industry.
I think so. Yeah, he spent a lot of time with other people, trying to build other newspapers up to make sure we could all be successful. Sat in a golf cart anytime I could with him, so we'd talk about things that were going on at our newspapers and at Missouri Press. Kevin played golf in all 50 states, so he saved Arkansas for last. He loved the Missouri Press Golf Tournament. That was one of his favorite events.
He spent many years as a director and past president for Missouri Press Advertising and Marketing Executives, which he pushed to rename from Missouri Advertising Managers Association so that the name would better reflect the changing advertising industry.
Kevin was great with leadership opportunities. Kevin was always thinking about how we needed to change to mold to what was happening in our communities, but also in the world of newspapers. Kevin did a great job of thinking outside the box for those things.
A dedicated industry leader, Jones also spent several years as a board member of the Missouri Press Association, culminating in his presidency in 2010. Believing he still had more to give, Jones returned to the MPA board as a director in 2019 after completing his term on the Missouri Press Service Board.
He was always putting in his 2 cents. There are things that we changed because of Kevin. Kevin had a different perspective sometimes than anyone else because of his background, because of the newspaper he came from, and that was really beneficial whenever we were forming policies. It was great. Spirit of fun was important to Kevin, just so everyone was relaxed. I would always say whenever he came into a room, people immediately relaxed.
Always looking for ways to move his newspaper forward, Kevin Jones built a legacy on the relationships he forged through building up the Missouri newspaper industry. He passed away in January 2024 at the age of 57.
Yeah, it's a huge loss for the whole industry. I mean, he was always thinking in the forefront. He had some things he was thinking about doing digitally for newspapers that he never got to complete. So those things are the things that I really wish, he was still around just to see where they went.